so that's not too bad. And again, at this stage, I'm not being overly concerned with the direction of my brush marks, but I am in general following the contours of the face. So just because, you know, yeah, why not? You've got to put the paint down. So why not? Oh dear. Let's put that over there for the moment. You know, why not sort of make your life slightly easier if possible? So the colour I've got here is kind of a mid-tone. So I'm adding that to the part of the neck before. What I'm doing now is just adding a good amount of white to the same colour I've been using, because things get quite a bit lighter here on this right hand cheek. And again, this isn't exactly the right colour, but for the moment it'll do. So it's really just about establishing light, dark and mid-tone fairly quickly, or at least that's the way I'm working today. Getting rid of the white of the paper, and then in a little while we'll be able to step back and see, okay, well, what have we got? You know, is it about right, and what needs correcting? Now the eyes I'm not too worried about for the moment, because I'll come in and fix those in a bit. While I've got this light colour on my brush, again without too much concern for getting the colour exactly right, there are some highlights on the forehead which I hadn't included. So we're starting to build up, you know, the presence of a human being here. It's starting to come to life a little bit. I've got this rather unsightly white gap here, which I need to fix in a little bit. But let's sort out the mouth next. Now, when it comes to the mouth, you know, in this particular pose, we've got sort of several parts to consider. So first of all, there's a little bit of skin that's showing underneath the edge of the bottom edge of the moustache, and you know, just above the edge of the upper lip. And then there's kind of a tiny bit of skin showing here to the left of the mouth as well. So while I've got that colour on my brush, why not use it? Grabbed up a healthy amount of the alizarin crimson and just working that into the colour I was using previously. That's probably come out a little too pink, so I'm putting some of the ultramarine blue in, and that's not too bad. So then having done the skin around the lips, we can do the lips themselves. Whoops, I've got a burst of pure yellow there. That's not quite what we want. Okay, so again, it's mostly about getting the approximate mid-tone correct, or at least in the right ballpark. So if I look at the lips here, there's quite a range of colour and tone actually on both the upper and lower lips, but we have to start somewhere. So we simply get rid of the white of the paper. You know, pay reasonable attention to the shape of the lips, but it's all subject to correction a little bit later. So that's not too bad. I'm going to just, no, I'm not, I was tempted to kill some of this white around the lips there, but I'm not going to. So now I just need to paint in the bit of the tongue that's showing. So just adding a little bit more alizarin crimson and a little bit of titanium white. And you know, again, I'm not too worried. I'm going to paint the teeth in later, but just to make that colour, might not show up that well on camera, but the colour I've used for the tongue that's showing is distinct from the colour used for the lips. So that's enough of a guide from my point of view when I come back to it later. Okay, so, excuse me. Okay, so now I'm going to head over to the eyes and just block those in. Almost regardless of the colour of the whites of the eyes, I tend to start off with some titanium white and a little touch of ultramarine blue. I've probably added a bit too much there, and I'm kind of mixing that in with the purple I used before. Well, let's see how that goes. It might be a bit too dark, but we'll see how that goes. So what I'm going to do is just fill in the whites of the eye. I've switched to a slightly smaller flat brush. And, you know, I'm aware that this is far too dark, but we'll add some highlights in later. Could almost do with a smaller brush really, but for the moment that's going to be okay. And now I've got to be a bit careful here because the paint's wet on that corner of the eye. So what I'm going to do is go over here first. Just touch in that corner. So I filled in the whites of the eye. Next I'm going to do the pupils. Not the pupils, the irises. Now for brown eyes, what I'm going to do in this case is I'm just going to take a bit of the burnt umber, and because I've got this kind of mid-orangey brown mixed up already, I'm mixing in that burnt umber into the orangey brown. And that's going to give me a reasonably dark mid-brown, which is going to be suitable for the irises. So I've changed brush again. I have switched to a small round flat, which is my favourite brush for detailed work. So this is one of the problems with working so quickly. You know, some of the paint's wet here, so got to be a little bit careful not to undo some of the work I've done. And we can come in here with the left eye, same kind of idea. So I'm not concerning myself with reflections or light and dark, just trying to get the shape and the position of the irises right. And that's not too bad. And while I've got that colour on my brush, and I'm using the small brush, why not, you know, use that where I can. Even if the colour isn't quite right, I can just start to add the indication of the nostrils. Put in a few little guiding marks for later. It's kind of a shadow here. Bit of a shadow down that side of the lip and on that side. So, you know, clearly there's a lot of work to do. But what I'll do next is I'm going to let all of this dry, and while that's drying I'll block in the background with a pale green. So I've taken you know, most of the titanium white I've got left on my palette and mixed it into that little bit of blue I had for the whites of the eyes, and picked up a little bit of this purpley dark colour as well. Now I'm grabbing a bit of the yellow, And that's kind of a pale yellowy green-ish I've got going there. So I want the paint to flow really quite fluidly, so just spraying the paint in the palette. And what I'll do now is just start to block in the background. So you can see it's come out as kind of a neutral grey actually, which wasn't quite my intention, but there is a little bit of there's a little bit of green in there. So I'm painting this kind of hint of green